What's going on, y'all? It's Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bringing you guys a recap today. Also, thank you for all the love on the last video. In terms of my health and stuff, I've had a couple days literally sitting in a dark house. Probably the most light I've had near my eyes since Thursday. But as promised, I got a recap here for Against All Odds, Rebirth of a Culture, KShine's return card. And for anyone that's seen my coverage leading up for how KShine's handled his return, it's been all over the place. Obviously, with the way the last event was canceled without a word and then moved to here, I wasn't impressed with the undercard. There was a lot of things that, even though I was going to give this card a fair chance, which I did, I was worried about going into the event. And I can proudly say, happily say, that I was a bit wrong in some of my worries. And the truth is while this wasn't drop dead a great card, this was a good card, and even more importantly, KShine's return battle versus Shotty Horroh was fire. And to me, at the very least, is one of the 10 best battles so far in 2025. So we have some things to talk about, some standouts on the undercard, a little bit of things that I didn't like because, like I said, it's like a 7 out of 10 event to me, right? So 7 out of 10 means that there's definitely more good than bad, but there's a few things that hold it back a couple points from being a great event, right? So without further ado, it should be a shorter recap. There's only 4 battles to talk about. We can get right into the event. Before we get into the opening battle of Nick G versus JC, just want to talk a little bit about the production because it was mostly really good, which surprised me. I was definitely worried about that, but it did hold the number one issue for this event, and this is a number one issue that like 90% of battle rap events suffer from, especially big leagues, new leagues and small leagues, but big leagues have this issue too, and that's runtime, time wasted, and just running your event efficiently. You know, when this event started on the flyer, there was no start time for the battles. There was when the doors open, but not an actual time that they start. So that's already kind of like a mystery, which is crazy. But then when the stream started, there was like an hour and a half of like just viewing the venue or music over a title screen. So you're already pushing back the event, that classic 2-hour delay that we accept, that we really shouldn't accept as a consumer. And then 2 battles through the 4, so halfway through the night, there was an hour plus long intermission. So a 4 battle card in like 4 hours, or really like 3.5, would be perfect and efficient. You show up, you get to watch a few battles, you get to prepare all day for it. Afterwards, there's still time to decompress from your night, maybe discuss the battles a little bit with people. But when a 4 battle event turns into a 6.5, 7-hour event, now, unless you're a diehard, there's people who have tuned out. You know, that hour and a half delay, people might have carved time out for this. That right there, 90 minutes, they might miss the main event. They might just not have the time for it. So we have to be better about making this a functional product by having it run on a scheduled time. That's just how the world works. We make exceptions for battle rap because we love it, but it can't grow when like 3 hours of nothingness time taken away from you is part of the experience. So you can't have that, and that's like the main reason it goes like down to a 7 for the most part. But the mics were good. Started out a little weird for Nick G versus JC, but they had the clip-on mics plus maybe just for effect the mic hanging down in the middle between the battlers. But I think Eddie I shot this event. You know, the name kind of like names on the bottom with the event name I thought looked pretty smooth. I thought all the battles, it was like good footage, and most importantly, the crowd was super engaged. No matter how many people were in that building, I think there was more than when it first started. But the crowd was like showing everybody love and excited to see battles. Excited crowds that actually want to hear the battlers are always going to add to what the vibes are like, the experience, the footage. So those were things that I realized off rip, right? We got a crowd that's locked in. So a little bit of talk there in the production. I thought that overall, pretty good job. Got to run the actual runtime more smooth. But then you get to the battle. So you got Nick G versus JC. Now, to start the battle, this was going to play out exactly like I thought about a round in. Nick G did not have a good first round. He started a little bit decent, but overall didn't have a good round, and JC was just better than him. And JC was very good in the first round, walked him down, outrode him, crowd was engaged. I think Nick G's first is one of the few times of the night the crowd was just like dead silent. So JC was up 1-0 clear, and his second, because he started the battle rapping too, so he started off the second, he was cooking again. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be a good JC versus like a no-name talent. He's going to clean up. We've seen this before. Nick G was one of the first shockers and really impressive pieces of the night. Because after that first where he just wasn't good, he turned up in the second and the third. And I see some people claiming like he was gassed, don't listen to crowd reaction. I know that he's part of like Zip 'Em Up, so people might just assume he's from New York. Come to find out, not only has Nick G been rapping, I said this in my prediction blog, over 10 years, he's like a Midwestern battler. Like, he's from Illinois. I don't even think he's from Chicago. He's from some like other town in Illinois, but he's not from New York. And he was getting no love in the first. When he wasn't rapping good, that crowd wasn't rocking with him. So he earned every bit of reaction he got in the second and the third. I'm not going to lie. Nick G was cooking. I am down to watch Nick G rap again. The switch on JC, like Judas and Peter, which is the bar everyone's quoting, that shit was crazy. He angled JC too. In the first, he used the dancer angle, and he used it awfully. But then he went to the drug angle, dancer angle again. It's common angles versus JC, but he was able to pull them off while punching real powerfully throughout. So this was a good JC all 3 rounds. And I'm seeing some people say it's debatable. I'm not mad if someone goes JC first clear, because he cleared it, and third edge. But I had Nick G winning the second and the third of this battle. I did, versus a good JC. So you open up the card, JC versus a no-name. You just figure it's going to be a quick showcase for JC. It ends up being a good battle with replay value and a bit of a debate in there. So got to give Nick G credit. He completely took advantage of the opportunity. I had said on Twitter, he kind of sounds like a little bit like Souffleur Soul, and I know comparison in battle rap is like a killer. Like in any other sport, if you compare someone's game, like you're just comparing like you're observing like what it visually looks like, you know what I'm saying? But in battle rap, it's like, oh, you're saying he's unoriginal, or that's not really what I'm going for. He just reminded me in his sound a little bit of Souffleur Soul, and he's battled longer than Souffleur would have battled. So I'm definitely not saying it's like stolen or anything. It was kind of cool. I just mentioned Souffleur recently, and you get like Midwest version of him that was rapping pretty good. So I had Nick G second and third edge, kind of second clear to be honest with you, and third edge versus JC, but a good battle where you could still have JC winning. He did his job, but it was a shot worthwhile, because I definitely am down to see Nick G battle again, and an early shocker in the night. So that was the opener. Then from there, you get to Charron versus Reed Dollaz. This played out basically how everyone thought it would. Charron was amazing all 3 rounds. He was one of the performances of the night, and it just factors into another good performance he's had in the last few years. But in 2025, the Ill Will battle, he got crazy and beat a good Ill Will. The Bill Collector battle, he was pretty good and still, cleared Bill Collector in the main event for Battle Academy. And then here versus Reed, it's another performance like the Ill Will one, where Charron is just relentless with the angling, the back-to-back punching, the freestyling, just everything in there to just dominate a battle versus Reed Dollaz. The kind of good news for Reed, a little bit, considering where Reed's been at for his last stretch of battles. His first round is good, and the material he eventually got out in his second round was pretty good. Like, if you're a Reed fan, there's portions of this battle where it's like, yeah, Reed's kind of locked in. But this is, I believe, the 6th battle in a row where Reed Dollaz is choked. The Truffaut battle, the Calico battle, the Tay-Rock battle, this battle. He choked in the battle versus Jazz, the on-beat battles the King of the Dot did. I could even go back farther. There's a couple battles I'm probably missing in there. Reed just cannot get his rounds out clean. So he was a little better than you probably would have expected, but he stumbled in the second early and got it back and wrapped. And then the third, once again, like 4 rounds in, he chokes and he never really gets it back. So because even though Reed started out good, competitive first, I still had Charron winning that first round. And then he absolutely just blitzed and dominated Reed in the second and third rounds. So this was Charron 3-0. I think since he had probably the clearest of 30s on the night, excuse me, since he had one of the clearest 30s of the night and the level he took it to, I'd probably say Charron was the performance of the night, which he's accustomed to on most of the cards he's battled on for the last couple of years. But another one where the footage was pretty good, and there's matchups I want to see for Charron, especially since he's already got Ill Will, Bill, and Reed this year. I want to see Charron versus Real Sick. I think Charron would beat Real Sick as well. I wouldn't be mad at Charron versus Av either, because that's two people that just don't believe in losing. They have not lost in a couple years now, and that's one of those where the style matchup is kind of different, but somebody's got to win, you know what I'm saying? So Charron is continuing his run of dominance. He added to this card just like I thought he would, and I'm down to see him versus Real Sick, him versus Av. I know he's always wanted to go out there and smoke Disaster. I think he would. I know that we're not in a hurry to see Diz, but with the way Charron's battling, probably the best he's ever looked, and he's already a legend, already like a top 20 probably battle rapper of all time. It was just a real bright spot for the card and another great performance for him, so I want to see him keep getting those high-level plates and seeing how far he can take it. But 2 battles in, I was pretty happy with the event. So after Charron and Reed is when that 1 hour plus intermission hit. Now, thankfully, I had to drive my girl to work. I was doing a couple things. I went and got some food. So it just happened to work out where I didn't really have to miss any raps. And when I came back, there was a battle. But an hour-long delay leading into Big T versus Serius Jones, they were playing a very, very risky game. And then you have pretty much the only bad battle of the night, and even this came with a little bit of a shock and some entertainment. That was Big T versus Serius Jones, which there was no amount, I think I tweeted this, there was no amount of good vibes in the building that could save this from not being a good battle. Just, it's a really rough style clash between Serius and Big T, especially where they're at this point in their careers. But the part that surprised me is going into this battle, I had Serius Jones winning clear. I thought even with the lows both of them can experience, Serius has been a little bit more reliable in the last few years for a good performance here and there. And the script was flipped. It's not a great battle, but Big T won every round of this battle. Clear, may I add. Content-wise, if you're big on penmanship, and, you know, going back and rewind to find, you will not like this battle at all. What they were doing in terms of just the bars was absolutely nothing special. There's a bunch of dry spots, particularly Serius, who gave by far the worst performance on the card. On a card where Reed Dollaz really choked in the second and third, I can still say with confidence I enjoyed whatever Reed gave us over whatever Serius Jones gave us. Just never connected with the crowd. He had this Madden scheme about the controller, like hold square to catch, but it was so dragged out and confusing. I didn't know what Jones was in his like super scheming bag, and he made a career off of that, but he's also like sometimes he gets in that bag and it's terrible. It's just a bunch of bad schemes back to back. So he was complaining to the crowd, all types of stuff. Big T content wise, like I said, was nothing special either. Big T beat Serius Jones off of straight jokes. Big T had me dying laughing. He definitely, on camera, you could see at the building dying laughing. The barbershop jokes at Jones, even just sound effects. He was talking about I hit your boo-boo, give her a boo-boo with the boo-boo. He was not even speaking English in portions of this battle, but you can laugh. You can be entertained. Like, Big T was being an entertainer, if nothing else. So, for the first time in years, I have Big T clearly beating a name. Even if the battle isn't good, I got to give a little bit of respect and apologies Big T's way, because we all give him a very hard time, deservedly so. He has not rapped really good in quite a few years, you know? But when he does something even a little bit subverting the expectations, I had him losing this battle clear. I thought it'd be the inverse where Big T was like the one who stinks it up for the night. Even if I didn't love his performance, he did some good things, and he won every round of the battle versus a name. So Big T versus Serius Jones, about as bad as you thought it would be, but a different winner than you probably predicted. So give some credit to Tuna there, man, for his first win versus top tier in quite some time. And Jones, I know Jones is always capable with some lows, but this was a record low. Getting 30'd by Big T in 2025 is pretty astounding, I can't lie to you. But with that said, that leaves you with just the main event of the night, KShine versus Shotty Horroh, which is a battle people, including myself, were not happy really about Shotty popping out as the name versus KShine for his return. Not that it's anything to do with deserving, right? But just for his return battle, you want to see more of like a built-up fight or something people have been asking for. Shotty is the best battle rapper in UK history, for real. You know what I'm saying? You really can't. A lot of people aren't tapped in. You can't say he doesn't have the talent for it, but just it was weird for the first one back. But I'm here to say, after all the cancellations and how skeptical people were, as I said beginning of the video, this battle turned out as good as it possibly could have. And even Shotty, before the battle, like when they introduced him, taking the mic and giving like this Viking speech about it's not US versus UK. I came here for war. I'm like, I don't know what he thinks he's Braveheart. Like, I don't know what he thinks he's doing. But that kind of added to, at first it was weird, but I was like, wait, that kind of added to the energy a bit. From first round to last round, all three from both, there is nothing but good to great raps in this battle. So first round of the battle starts, and it starts on Shotty. I like Shotty's first. I think he was really overperforming or over like aggressing at the end of his bars, and with his accent, since he was performing the punch so heavy, I feel like the crowd just literally didn't understand him in parts. But like to start his first, that you're a fraction of the star you used to be, and we're just looking at the shine that we're looking at the shine that used to be. He had a bar about like stars you see in the sky, and how, if you, for those that don't know, when you see stars in the sky, it's echoes of stars like millions of miles away that died or blew up, and that flash is the stars we see. The way he broke that whole astronomy shit down, I thought was crazy. So I really like, and of course he had more. I like Shotty's first a lot. It's a very respectable round. But KShine's first round is exactly what you would expect for KShine's first round back. It's debatably his best round of the battle. So performance heavy versus Shotty. The To Be commercial bar where he walked around Shotty and like he was utilizing the stage. He was utilizing flow pockets. This isn't a 10 out of 10 KShine performance, but it's definitely like an 8.5 out of 10. I really liked what Shine did, and I thought his first round was like a great start for it, where he was up 1-0 clear to me, even with Shotty rapping pretty good. And I'll only mention this once. Shotty was like pretty strict about the time. Like he cut Shine's first round. But I respected it. You know, Shine was about to rap like double the time Shotty rapped. He is in a whole different country, in enemy territory. He's in New York battling KShine at his return. And I thought Shine was a good sport about Shotty being like, nah, you're not just going to rap double my time. Like, cut the round. If you don't want your opponent to like disrespect the time limits and just completely out time you, and that's how they win, you got to step up and make your voice heard. That's what Shotty did. He wasn't scared of the crowd being upset or what people would say. So Shotty did exactly what he was supposed to do. Shine respected it when he did cut it. So even though Shine went up 1-0 clear, I love how they handled that time part. I know Shotty was worried about that going into the battle, but he stood on business. So I don't want to hear y'all complaining about time. Do what Shotty Horroh did. You feel like your opponent's wilding? Say, listen, we're not doing that. And at least make someone have to acknowledge, the timekeeper acknowledge what's going on. So I had Shine up 1-0 clear. You get to the second. Yo, that start Shotty had in the second. Knife to your windpipe like the Green Ranger. Into the Mr. Beast bar. Crazy. I love Shotty Horroh's second round versus KShine. I'd go as far to say it's round of the battle. I think Shotty's second versus KShine is the best round either of them rapped. He was locked in. He was angling too. Could go on bar for bar about everything. I might even do a bar for bar recap about this battle, like after this. That's how much I liked it. But Shotty was great. I like Shine's second a lot too. The pocket leading up into the Sonic, reach out into the shadow like Knuckles, and the way he performed it. You just get everything you want from this battle. You get the aggression. Shotty's a bit of a breath of fresh air if you haven't heard him, the way that he raps. And I think he even said it. Once you get past the accent, if that's a problem for you, the shit he was saying was incredible. He was a bit more lyrical, while Shine was more of the powerhouse performer that you expect KShine to be. So it ended up making for a great style clash. I think the second is pretty debatable too, but I edged Shotty that round. I see a lot of people giving it to Shotty as well. So I had it 1-1 with 4 very good rounds heading into the third. And the third is where I disagree a bit with the general consensus from what I'm seeing. People are saying the battle comes down to the second, and that Shine cleared the first and Shotty cleared the third. I think the third is debatable. And that's what really it came down to for the battle for me. I think Shotty has a great third as well. The way he ends it, a little awkward. The freestyle about Shine shorts, then just kind of cuts it. Still very, very good, but not like a perfect round. And I thought Shine's content, like he performed his ass off all 3 rounds, but actually what he was rapping about, referring to his own pain, his situation leading into this battle, but not too much that he was indirect to Shotty. He like went there for a little, but then went right back to performing at Shotty Horroh. So many haymakers. Well, how did he end the second? I do pull up, you do pull ups, I do pull ups, but my sets never end. That was stupid. In the 3rd round, he brought that energy too. So, like I said, I want to do a bar for bar because they both had so many haymakers, but the 3rd to me is not clear. It is a debatable round, and maybe I'm in the minority, but I edged KShine the 3rd round versus Shotty Horroh. If you have Shotty in the 2nd and the 3rd, which a lot of people do, I'd even maybe say the consensus does. So if you're watching this for my opinion and you're wondering how people are calling it, I had Shine 2-1 edge. I had him first clear, 3rd edge with the debatable 3rd. But I'm seeing a lot of people say Shotty 2nd and 3rd as well. So you get a great performance from 2 returning legends. Both of them, when you say 2 legends are returning versus each other, this is the exact quality that you'd be expecting. I love how enraged the crowd was, especially for Shotty. You were worried maybe New York would sleep on him. I thought they gave him a ton of love. He might have even deserved a little bit more love. He was that good. I thought Shine brought everything you would want for a Shine return battle. So when I'm looking at this, whether you have it Shotty 2-1 or you have it Shine 2-1 like me, this battle not only lived up to its expectations, but for many absolutely jumped those expectations and was the perfect main event for this 4-battle card. But that is my full recap here for Against All Odds, Rebirth of a Culture. And of course, no matter how bad Shine handled his rollout these past couple of years, from the interviews to how he was going about it, pushing it back, I'm so happy for him and how happy he looked post-event, man, because he is one of our legends at the end of the day. And not only was he dealing with battle rap stuff, outside of the ring, Shine had as serious of life shit as you can have going on, and you could see the passion. He's just so happy to rap again. And I don't know, the event was under-promoted, and I don't know how that affected pay-per-view sales. There's a chance that this event definitely went in the red, you know what I'm saying, financially. But in terms of the quality that it gave and the product, Shine looks so proud of it, and this is something that he should be proud of. And I don't know if going forward he wants to keep kind of throwing his own events. And by the way, the fact that he gave this performance while it being his first time running his own event, so many different reasons that you should be happy if you're a KShine fan watching this. So no matter how you called it, I definitely think it ended up working out great, and it's a good look going forward into maybe some of the other matchups Shine can have. I know we were talking about that. Me and France were chopping it up. I know people want to see KShine versus Twerk. Of course, I would love that. I also think that, now there's this, people are bringing up Shine and Briz, right, because there was talk of him trying to get it booked. That's imaginary. Please stop hurting yourself and thinking that's going to happen in real life. I do think we're going to move towards a point where every Shine battle is not just going to be super blockbuster. I want to see Shine versus A-Ward. That's a big top tier battle. It's not like a mega match like I think Shine might envision, but Shine versus A-Ward, I want to see Shine versus Fonz. Fonz is better than ever, and remember how much he called out Shine after he won UM1, so I wouldn't be mad at that. Of course, Shine versus Twerk, like I said, I think that's the main one that everyone wants to see next. But there's battles out there for KShine to take next. I don't know how often he plans on battling either, but I want to see where he takes it from here. I thought he had a very good return performance, but even then, probably knocking some rust off. It had been goddamn 3 years. It's understandable. I can only see him getting better, and he already started great with his first performance back. So, and as for Shotty Horroh, I know that people were saying they want to see him against more American legends, and good for Shotty, who has battled a ton of top tiers from the U.S., but I think that might have been his first time in a decade battling on U.S. soil versus top tier. Obviously, he battled Daylight on UW, but that's all the way back in 2013. He had so many battles backed out, the Tay-Rock battle, the New Jersey Twerk battle 4 different times. So Shotty can lock in some of those fights and spin the block. After that Shine performance, it's just a great situation for both battlers and a good look for mostly every battler on the card, man. So with all that being said, I want to hear your guys' opinions in the comment section down below. How do you feel about the event? What were some of your favorite parts? What are some of the parts you didn't like? I'm sure we could all complain about the runtime. And really, more importantly, my personal question, who do you want to see Charron battle next? Who do you want to see KShine battle next? And who do you want to see Shotty Horroh battle next? Because they all have a ton of good matchups they can make that could really add to 2025, and even matchups for 2026 that with this type of quality could really uplift a ton of different cards on a ton of different leagues. But it's been JSmo Reviews again here, y'all. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know how you feel about this event, and I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.